have to prepare for. I'd say the situation we got to keep ourselves out of, Pat, is when you get behind and you're in that pass-only mentality where now the defense can pin their ears back and really get you. And if you kind of look at our past few games, when the issues have come up, it's really been in those situations. That's against Arizona, Cleveland, then again yesterday. When you get in that pass-heavy zone where you're behind, that's when the defense can finally pin their ears back. When you can stay balanced early on where it's run or pass, is it a draw, screen situation, what may come up, that keeps the defense a little bit more honest, and that's when our offensive line has really played its best. So when you're getting blitz 0, 3 out of 4 plays, eventually someone's going to come free, and we've got to make sure we avoid the hits on a quarterback. But there are times you're protecting with just 5, and they're bringing 6 or 7, and Daniel did a very good job yesterday of really controlling that and operating and getting the ball out. And you kind of look at yesterday, there's a lot of situations where Daniel knew there were going to be free runners. You just know it by scheme. That's part of how you design it, getting the ball out. We had some hot reads, some sight adjustments, and just some plays, scheme for quick game. I really like the way Daniel handled it yesterday. You kind of talk about what level of improvement have we seen throughout the year. I think there's a lot of things that show up in the tape yesterday with number 8. You watch him from the start of the year through yesterday and how he handled a lot of the situations with the pressure, the ball security, decision-making. He did a lot of things that demonstrate a lot of growth. And there's a lot of things you guys ask me all the time, what are you really looking at with this team as you go forward? Well, I'll start with a key piece right there with Daniel. We always want to know about, is Daniel our guy? Are we going forward, Daniel? The answer is absolutely. And what gives us that confidence is even in games like yesterday where it didn't come out perfectly, you can turn the tape on. You can say, hey, listen, in games 1 through whatever, that wasn't the guy we were looking at. You watch the tape yesterday and you see that guy in there operating, executing, understanding the pressure, and not just standing in there with courage like he's done all along and taking a hit, but understanding how to take the hit but deliver an accurate pass and move the sticks down the field. So these are things that as he grows in this league and develops in his craft, he's going to be able to do. And as we get going and we build more into the scheme, he'll be able to handle it different ways as well, take some hits off himself. But, you see a lot of growth with these guys. I thought Daniel yesterday played well. There's some plays I'm sure he'd like to have back, some plays we'd like to do differently. That's natural in any game. We're going to coach it to eliminate those plays on the front end. But at the same time, there was a lot of growth I saw with Daniel that's really showed up, in terms of how he had to play the game yesterday and what he was able to do.
So there you have Joe Judge speaking on Daniel Jones after the Ravens game. Some positive thoughts on his growth and development. We're going to dive into it real quick, break it down, let you guys make your own evaluation, and just kind of show you some film from earlier in the season into this Ravens game and to show you what exactly they're talking about. Jerry Schuplinski also came out this week and echoed what Judge was saying about their evaluation of the tape and his growth and, some of the decisions that he's making now that he wasn't earlier in the season. And we'll break it down visually, show you some plays from earlier in the year in comparison to where he is as we enter this huge Week 17 matchup going forward. And then on the back end, we'll share a couple more thoughts of Daniel Jones and the offense in general as we move forward towards the end of the year. All right, so check out the film and stick around on the back end. So Joe Judge and Jerry Schuplinski both came out this week, made comments about the growth of Daniel Jones. Let's dive into it and see exactly what they're talking about. This is from the Bears game earlier in the year. You'll see what you have right at the pre-snap. You'll have 4 receivers after you motion the back out. So you have 4 receivers to this side, and you have ISO on this side. Chicago is going to keep 2 guys high, and then they're going to show you at the snap that they are keeping their 2 high. They're going to go man-to-man as you see the linebacker travels with the running back. And then you're going to have these 3 for these 3, and then one-on-one on this side. So it's a good indicator of man and 2 high with a regular 4-down rush. So at the snap, what you're going to get, you're reading what they do. They roll into, you can't see the safety anymore, but he rolls to play center field, and this man's going to come down and help rob anything underneath, because he knows he has 3 receivers opposite him. So anything coming across the field, he's going to help as these 3 try to run across the field and stay with their man. So at the snap, you'll see the processing. Right when you hit your back foot, you have these 2. You have 1 and 2. Both appear to be open. As the robber comes down to take this away, you'll see Daniel Jones pump fake and hesitate, and that gives those rushers that extra beat to get home. If you process this quicker, pre and post snap, to understand that you have too high, and then once the ball snap, as they roll into a single high center fielder, you'll understand that that robber is coming down, and you'll come off of that. As you hit your back foot, you'll come off of that first crosser, and you'll get to the second crosser in the second window here. He fails to do that, and they get a strip sack. And that's you playing in a new offense. That's you understanding the speed of the game. That's a young quarterback processing what's going on around him. And then here we'll go to another one early in the year. We'll go through 4 earlier in the year. This is against San Francisco. Now the pressure gets on him pretty quickly. The pressure does collapse on him pretty quickly. However, if you look, they're once again in too high. So at the snap, they're bringing 4. They're in too high. They're basically saying you are not allowed to have anything deep. They stay in that too high. They don't roll into anything different. It's pretty much they're taking away the deep stuff. And anything in the middle of the field that can threaten those split safeties is Ingram's not running. Ingram isn't running to threaten here. Anything inside or coming behind these linebackers and sit down. So you have to come off of that at the snap. You have to immediately come off, read those too high safeties, know that they're still staying high, put your foot in the ground, and take what they give you. Just take what they give you and live to see another down. And that can be the difference in keeping drives alive, turnovers, good field position for the other team. Now, here, yes, you do realize the pressure gets there way too quickly. But instead of putting your foot in the ground and hitting that back foot while you're processing what you see pre and post snap, as you drop, you need to understand that as this man turns his back to you to run with Ingram, and this cushion is here, and everyone is playing high, that this is where you need to go with the ball right now. And the ball needs to come out of your hands. And Daniel Jones, that's been one of his pet peeves, is that pocket presence, that shot clock inside of his head has been a beat slow. And the fractions of a second are important in the NFL. And they give those pass rushers the time that they need to get home or for you to get rid of the ball. Here's another one. And this is a perfect example of him getting greedy and wanting more. And what you see here with the Cowboys in the Cowboys game, they're going to go single high safety. So they're going to show you single high at the beginning of the play. So they have one safety, and you know you have a post route up top. And it's a big time matchup. You want to show your arm off. You're desperate to make big plays. As you hit your drop, you can see that if you have a post up top, all of these guys are pretty well covered. There's space here. Everyone's pretty much on top of their routes. Ingram's getting out late. So when you get to the top of your drop, as he does here, you have time to step up. Good job stepping up. But here, that post route isn't available. Take this. Just take what they're giving you and live to see another down. And give that guy a chance to make something happen in space. Instead, you step up. As you step up in the pocket, you get a man peel off. And by getting greedy, you take a sack when you have a man right in front of your face to check down to, get positive yards, and live to see another down. Now, that's a kind of play. He doesn't fumble or anything there, but that's a huge game-changing play if he does. Here's another example against the Rams. 4-man rush, too high. You have the back and the flat, and you see he gets to this guy late. And by the time he gets to him, even if he gets that off, that corner can peel off and of his receiver and come get him. This is why processing speed at the NFL level is so crucial, and you can understand as a quarterback matures and grows from one offense to another how those fractions of a second of processing and getting rid of the ball really truly do matter. You see him here. You need to understand what routes are being called and what's there and what isn't. So you look, you're going to have a crosser from a tight end, and then you're going to have 2 in-breaking routes from these receivers out here, and then you're going to get a vertical on the bottom. So you know what routes are being called. So at that point, from the beginning of the play, when you know that you have 2 high, you're anticipating some sort of maybe cover 2 or a man 2 over. So as these guys get out in their routes, the first thing you're confirming is, did these 2 guys stay high, which they do. And then as the routes develop throughout the play, you need to understand what's not going to be available by the alignment. And pretty much all of this inside is not going to be available. You have 3 for 2 here. You have 2 high. So you know that since these 2 guys stayed, there's nothing available deep. This in-breaking route is something that you would have to squeeze in there. And at that point in your drop, almost before that, pretty much at this point in your drop, you can evaluate that isn't that none of that is available, and you should be getting out to that back now. And you get out to that back now, that's over 10 yards of space between him and the defender. So as the defender closes that, you give the running back a chance to make somebody miss. When you come off and get to that late, that gives the defense that half a second extra, and you see that corner a half a second extra to come off of his responsibility and play that guy in the flat. And we'll run it in full speed to see how fast that these decisions have to be made at an NFL level. It's fractions of a second. You can't be late. And then we go into the Ravens game. This is what they're talking about. This is what they see on film. This is what you can see on film. Is in the Ravens game, there's a ton of examples where the processing speed is much quicker. So you see here, he immediately gets to the check down, gives that man a chance to do something with it. So as you run that back, what you'll notice in the previous games is here you get play action, and you get 2 guys running vertically at the bottom of the screen. So at the very beginning of the play, you realize you're in 2 tight ends. You're in 2 tight ends. They have a single high safety, and then you have 2 receivers to the bottom. So your speed's to the bottom. You're going to whip your head around, and as you whip your head back around, you confirm, what are they in? That safety's high, and all of these underneath guys are bailing. So as they're passing off to the safeties, it's clear that they're in zone with the opposite boundary corner taking this third, the center field, and he's going to pass and work to pass off to him. You're going to have to hang in there a very long time for this to develop and this to develop, and then even then you're going to be throwing into one hell of a window, and you're not going to have enough time to really let those develop downfield. Now, what do you have down here? You have your easy check down. Get the ball to him in space and let him cut up and make something happen. Don't hold, and then get to the check down by the time he's all the way out here, and these guys have closed this gap and can break that ball up or just tackle him for no gain, while also giving these guys up front an opportunity to get off blocks and get into your face for sacks, tip picks, what have you. Really good job there, and that's unspectacular looking play, but that is growth. Here's the same thing here. That's an unfortunate drop, but that's really advanced processing, working all the way from the left to the right of the field. That's stuff that you really like to see from Daniel Jones as he moves forward in his career. Right here, you're going to get Dion Lewis trying to sneak out of the back. That's shut down by 29, the corner up there. You're probably not getting that first down, which is right at the 40-yard line. So you work your way back through each window, deliver a good ball on time, and that's just a drop. That's unfortunate, but that's just a drop. Here, same thing. At the snap, you got one high safety. You confirm it. Once you get, again, this guy showing you his back. This guy's showing you his back. You know that they're in zone. They've been showing this all day as these guys are carrying down the field, because you know you have the vertical routes from your receivers pressing down the field. You can just take this under route. You're not holding forever and getting to Ingram by the time he's over here near the sideline. You're giving it to him early and giving him a chance to catch it at about here and turn upfield and make something happen. If you get it to him past the numbers, at the numbers, he runs out of room to really do any damage with his legs after the play. So get rid of the ball, give it to him, and let him turn upfield and make something happen. Unspectacular, but good quarterbacking. This was early in the game. The Ravens weren't doing anything exotic. You'll see as the Ravens game wears on, they get more exotic, they get more aggressive. And at the beginning of the game, they were basically daring Daniel Jones. They're going to basically say, you're down big. We're up 2 scores. We're banking on your young, aggressive quarterback mindset to try to get 14 points back in a hurry and try to hold in there, hang in there, and let our pass rush get home. You're not gonna process what we're taking away, and you're not gonna get to these checkdowns like you should. That's another example of it there. Actually, Alfred Morris, I cut that too soon, but Alfred Morris gets a first down right there. But same thing here, another play action. There's 2 high safeties, and nothing of that changes. Once you whip your head around, there's nothing that's changed. You see the 2 high safeties, hit your back foot. You understand where your check down is going to be. Give it to him right now and let him make a play. Good quarterbacking, unspectacular, but absolutely growth. Here, we'll show 2 in a row. You can run that back if you want. It's basically the exact same concept, though, and this is good understanding by the quarterback. You're putting Humphrey right here and as the quarterback's read as you run the corner behind him. If he stays, then you just take what they give you and hit Shepard in a hurry. If he plays tight to Shepard, then you know with a single high safety, he's not going to be able to get all the way over there. You can throw that to the corner. And that's a simple read, but it's still taking what the defense gives you. It's getting rid of the ball quickly and getting it to your receivers to let them make a play. We're going to run this back to let you see the exact same concept, not down near the goal line, but this is the same exact thing with this play. Single high safety, read the left of the field to the right of the field. You see Humphreys bail, take what they give you. Live to see another down. Don't get it all back at once. Getting rid of the ball on time, confidently, knowing exactly what you're doing within your offense. That's growth. That's big time. So none of those plays look amazing. None of those plays look spectacular, but they are significant improvements that show up on film in terms of processing, in terms of hitting people on time and rhythm and making the right decision. Because there's no chance for some of these for you to hold the ball and looking for something downfield. Here you saw at the beginning, you get Caden Smith coming in motion, going back. That's confirming it's not man-to-man. You get the information that this is zone. So as he goes back, you have 2 high, and you're in a zone. It's very, very similar. You see that you understand your route concepts here. What they're probably looking for is Shepard to be running some type of crossing route. That's why this guy's sitting here with his eyes towards this side of the field looking for crossers. That's not what you get. You get Caden Smith pressing here. These 2 guys in zone are going to be held by these downfield routes. The center fielder has to remain playing center field. You have to understand all of this as a quarterback. Shepard is going to take this man, and then you're just going to have the easy underneath throw. And this is nothing spectacular, but when the defense is giving you yards and giving you completions, you have to process it quick and take it. Get it to the playmaker, let him turn upfield and make a play for you. Now this is, as the game wore on, Daniel Jones showed them, hey, I am not just going to hold the ball forever. I am going to take what you guys give me. So Wink Martindale and the Ravens, they adjust and start bringing some pressure. And this is some really good stuff you like to see for your quarterback. That's above the X's and O's right there. sidestepping a free rusher, understanding that handoff on this RPO is absolutely not available. You can't give it because you have a free rusher that's unaccounted for. So since you're going to keep on the RPO, you know that your responsibility is to make something happen with this guy free. So you'll see him sidestep, but he'll also keep his eyes downfield and never come off of the receiver and be willing to stand into the pocket and take a hit as he delivers a good ball for a big play. You see from the end zone angle shows the footwork, the courage, and the ability to navigate within the pocket as he pulls it out from the running back, gets a sidestep. Good job putting his foot in the ground, get his hips around and get rid of the ball. Nice throw on target, taking a hit. We're moving. We're desperately trying to get back into this ball game. Here's the same thing. You're going to get a jet sweep at the beginning of the play. So the jet sweep here is going to hold this linebacker, and he's going to have to widen with the jet sweep. Then you're going to get Evan Ingram pushing vertically up the field with a center fielder and this safety rolling into deep coverage. So then as the running back comes out, you get rid of this. So as the running back comes out, you have this vertical and the running back pushing this vertical. And that puts a bind on everyone involved here. So you're stretching him out with the jet sweep. The jet sweep takes care of that outside linebacker and forces him to stretch a little bit. These guys have to respect what this guy's pushing vertically, and then you can fit the ball right in to Wayne Gallman. But once again, they're coming after you. They're bringing pressure, and they are going to get a free rusher, and you have to stand in there courageously and make a accurate throw away from the defenders while taking a big hit, putting it on his back shoulder away from the defenders. That's a big time throw. Here they bring 4, and you just throw a dart into Dante Pettis, who recently got activated. We're looking for a little bit more from him. Doesn't sound like Golden Tate's going to play in Week 17. But here is just, it's more processing than you think on this play. At the snap, they're just going to show, we're going to run 4, and when they give him a nice firm pocket, because there's not extra rushers, there's nothing exotic about this. But what you're going to get down here is it looks like here's your man-to-man all across, and then you have help here, and you have help here. But what they're going to run up top on a 2nd and 17 is the boundary guy. They're going to run up underneath of the boundary guy and allow Humphrey to play with his eyes to the quarterback as the forced defender so he can protect the boundary as they can carry this outside guy together, knowing that they have help in the middle of the field. So as Pettis runs by and he runs underneath of this, he's going to try to run underneath the guy on the boundary. He can stay as he strafes parallel to the sideline with his eyes on the quarterback. You're trying to beat Marlon Humphrey to the ball, and it has to be a dart, and it has to be on time. And Daniel Jones shows the ability to do this, shows off a little bit of arm strength here. The top of the drop, he immediately sees it, and you have to fit that in there away from the defender. That's a good throw. 2nd and 17. We're still moving. Once again, same exact thing. No need to go through this. Just take what they give you underneath. Use the routes that you're getting downfield and take what they give you underneath. The last part of this is there's another accurate throw here we'll show, and this is just continued growth by Daniel Jones. He takes a pretty nice lick here as they bring an extra guy. The linebacker comes. They're going to get, it was this Patrick Queen. I don't know who the middle linebacker is now. I don't know who it is. But eventually they're going to get some pressure laid on a stunt. They have everybody. You see no one has separation except Ingram. And the part I like here is Ingram coming back to the ball. Ingram's coming this way as he breaks out. And then Daniel Jones, he's going to throw it away from the defender so he has no shot at it, and give Ingram a chance to go ahead and carry that and get some yards after the catch while getting hit. This isn't a great read. He just finds the guy that got separation and delivered a good ball that allows him to make something happen after the catch. Here in this last little segment, we're going to show some individual effort plays. And it really comes back to what I was talking about earlier about X's and O's and making plays above the X's and O's. And you see Daniel Jones did that consistently through this game, whether that's sidestepping pressure here, rolling out when no one's open, giving your guys a chance to uncover and make plays with your legs, extend drives, take hits in the pocket, make good reads. That's above the X's and O's. And one thing that you can be sure of that everyone's going to harp on correctly is that this Giants offense is severely lacking playmaker, skill position guys that make plays above their X's and O's. Everything in this game really showed, outside of Sterling Shepard getting some separation and fighting for some extra yards, it was just few and far between the skill guys really going up and making plays above the X's and O's for the quarterback. It seemed like everything had to be precise and perfect and dialed up, and that's not going to happen in the NFL over 16 games. You're not going to precisely dial up every single thing and execute it exactly as it's drawn up flawlessly. And I think that we all can agree on that. And this offense severely lacks the weapons that it needs, specifically like a true X wide receiver that can go up and get the ball. And if you leave him one-on-one, it's a problem for the defense. And not all of these throws are going to be perfect. Not everything is going to be exactly precise. And that just shows that we are lacking that. And there's several examples. And, not everything has to be, it has to be on the money. It has to be perfect. But you have to help your quarterback. You got to help your guy out. Here what you'll see is this is Daniel Jones helping the offense out above the X's and O's by a free rusher coming at him as he gets to his drop. A free rusher coming at him, sliding in the pocket, and delivering a good ball to Sterling Shepard coming across and giving him a chance. And you'll run this in full speed. You'll see how quickly that you have to process things in the NFL. If you watch this in full speed, you can see those milliseconds, those fractions of a second that you're getting better within your offense and knowing your route combinations and knowing where your outlets are against specific coverages, how the fractions of a second can be the difference between winning and losing. And we've invested that into this kid, and it's good to see the improvement. Probably not as rapid as we would like, but it is there when you turn on the tape and look for it. And as they move towards the offseason, it's imperative that they continue to let him develop. If they continue to go with this kid, there's no guarantees of that, but let him develop and coach this stuff into him. This is 6 minutes left in the game. We're down 14 points. We have all of our timeouts. Yes, that's a tough proposition, but it is not an impossible situation if you get a quick score in the fourth quarter and make it a 7-point game ahead of the 2-minute warning, and still have your timeouts. And these are the kind of plays that you have to make for your quarterback. They bring a blitz zero, meaning they have no safety over the top. And he drops this in the bucket. It could be a little bit more out in front, but that's a play you have to make for the quarterback. You have to make for the team. Here's another one. They're going to bring 6. Running back is not able to hold up his block. The quarterback still steps up and does his best to give his guy a chance. I love Sterling Shepard, a 5'11 receiver on the boundary. It'd be nice if a guy could make that play consistently. I can't hate on Shep for one play, but consistently throughout 16 games, when you lack elite playmaking on the perimeter, it forces everything to be a little bit more perfect. And even when your quarterback is stepping up and taking a hit, if he can give your guy a chance we don't have enough plays throughout the year where guys are going above the scheme, above the X's and O's and making plays. Here's another one, just a simple slant to Evan Ingram. It's okay if you don't make every play, but in this game, no one played above the X's and O's for the quarterback. And that's shown up over 16 games, 15 games, but it showed up over the season that it's just severely lacking. We got to get some weapons. We shored up the offensive line with a lot of draft picks this year. We have 3 rookies playing on our offensive line with some other young pieces, and Nick Gates is a young guy who's never played center. But I feel very confident that they are coming together and gelling. They obviously have a lot of work to do, as would be expected with 3 rookies, playing significant snaps. But the flashes are there, the encouragement, and the development is obvious with them, although they still have a lot of work to do, and they'll have an offseason to put that together and maybe bring in a veteran reinforcement here and maybe a mid-round pick to add to the offensive line. We were in a full rebuild when, you go with a new quarterback. So you're not going to get it all done in one season. But the evaluation, which was what this year was about, is to evaluate what we need going forward. And it's absolutely weapons. Here, that's not an amazing throw. And I get that. And that one's on Daniel Jones. But when they disrespect you to this degree and don't put a safety on the middle of the field and just say, hey, we're going to bring everybody. If you have up here where Slayton is, if this is your Plexico Burress, if that is your Allen Robinson, if that's your Kenny Galladay, your DeAndre Hopkins, your whoever, if that's a true bona fide, legitimate playmaker in the NFL, one, it makes other teams hesitant to give you looks like this. And 2, your quarterback doesn't need to be precise if you have that elite playmaker. As soon as he sees, oh, they're coming with 0 here, think to the Super Bowl. Just throw it into the air and down the field and trust that your guy can beat their guy one-on-one. And we severely lack that for Daniel Jones and for this offense. And once again, I don't mind the investment up front, but by calling aggressive plays like this, which we've talked about previously on this channel, it helps you better evaluate where you are, where your quarterback is, and where your offense is as a whole. Here's another play. Look at all the people that they're bringing. And when you're putting the ball in the air, I know we already went through this one with Slayton, but these are the plays that you have to have. And if we're not going to be making these plays, then it's severely, severely important. It's paramount that we find the guys that can make these plays, consistently in a modern NFL. Here, this is, you're going to see that this is missed. This is another 3rd down, and you're going to get Ingram in the slot here. And everyone's going to focus at the end, oh, he doesn't make the play. But it's more about the beginning of the play. As he comes off, you're going to see he's going to get his hand on Ingram. You have to fight to get his hand off of you, and then your job is to, as soon as you can to help the quarterback, you want to get vertical, preferably right around the numbers. Basically, getting vertical means running straight down the field. When you do that, you give 8 the chance, you give him all of this room for error because you're going to stack as you're running down the field, the DB is going to be inside of you, even if he's parallel. You're going to give the quarterback the ability to throw the ball with an arc, but you're going to give him all of this room from the numbers to the sideline as room for error. But when you don't get off of bump and run coverage and you allow your man to run in phase with you and drift you towards the sideline, you see, if you're at the numbers at this point, if you're closer to the numbers even, and you're getting vertical as he releases the ball, it doesn't have to be in a bucket 20 yards downfield. You have more room for error to throw away from the corner. He almost drops this in there anyway, but see how perfect that has to be. And these are the kind of plays that show up consistently, and this is evident. It's not hard for anyone to see. You need playmakers. This one's a little bit underthrown, just like the other slant to Slayton, not a perfect throw. But we've seen in the past true X wide receivers that Darius Slayton is clearly not. I don't care if he's hurt. We've seen Darius Slayton isn't your down in, down out, 16 games a year, bona fide X wide receiver that demands double coverage, that demands safeties be rolled to him, that open up other things for other people. And if they dare go one-on-one, more often than not, you can throw it up, whether it's a perfect ball or not, and he can go up and fight to high point that, get a pass interference call, and make something positive happen for your offense. So there you have it, guys. There's some clear indicators of what the offense needs going forward. If you've watched me in previous videos on this channel, we've highlighted Jason Garrett holding this offense back and this quarterback, back in his development. And I think that really shows up in the Ravens game when we have focused so much on the year on throwing everything quick and throwing everything short. And by not getting vertical and leaving those underneath routes uncovered, when you overpopulate that intermediate portion of the field and run all of the stop routes and the hook routes in that intermediate portion of the field, it severely limits the space those guys have to work with, not only after the catch, but it also limits the quarterback when everything is run intermediate, everything comes out and breaks at the same time back towards the quarterback. It really limits his ability to survey the field. You're basically picking a matchup you like, and if that's not there, then you have no answers because everybody's breaking at the same time. Whereas if you get a vertical and somebody underneath of it, you can read high back to low underneath of it, and then you can read across the field from left to right as they're running through the windows. And that is an advanced quarterback. That is what we needed to find out this year. And I wish that we had 15 games of that kind of play calling, because at least we could break down the film and say, okay, we would have definitely had more interceptions and more fumbles and more sacks from Daniel Jones had we called those games. And you can argue, yeah, that doesn't give you as good of a chance to win. But we also need to evaluate the talent on the team. And most importantly, the quarterback. Because the quarterback is everything. It'd be different if we took this guy in the third round. I'm cool with that. But when you invested a top 10 pick in a quarterback, when any team does that, and then you go out there and you just tell him, don't turn the ball over. Just don't turn the ball over. Just throw it quick. Take everything underneath. Just throw it quickly. And then we'll live to see another down. Just at all means, don't turn the ball over. You don't need to take a guy in the top 10 of the draft if that's what you're going to ask of him. If you might as well just roll with Colt McCoy if that's what we're going to do for the majority of the season, which is what we've done for the majority of the season. When you take a guy as high as we did, you throw the kitchen sink at him, you live with the mistakes, and then you coach them out of him. And that's what I think Jason Garrett failed to do as we move on from Pat Shurmur, who Pat Shurmur did throw the kitchen sink at Daniel Jones. They threw the ball down the field. They asked him to read the entire field. They asked him to process things quicker. And they understood that there was going to be growing pains, that there was going to be some sacks that he was responsible for, some turnovers he was responsible for. But as he grows within that offense, he can speed up that process. And I feel like Jason Garrett came in, typical of Jason Garrett, in my opinion, and said, I'm going to protect my job and play not to lose my job, or coach not to lose my job, and say, at the end of the year, go to John Mara and say, there's less turnovers. There's only 9 picks. There's only, the fumbles are cut in half. At what expense are they cut in half? Yeah, of course they're cut in half, but is there tape to evaluate his processing? Is there enough tape to evaluate? Is he getting better at processing? Is he getting quicker in and out of reads, pre-snap, post-snap? Is he understanding route concepts and coverages and identifying where people are going to be within those coverages that he's going to see week in and week out? Or are we running 4 hook routes and throwing the ball? And I feel like this game showed that they took the training wheels off way too late, of course. But I see the growth in Daniel Jones from early in the season and all the way to last season. But this kind of growth should have been happening weeks before this. And there have been games before the hamstring. He hasn't thrown an interception since the Buccaneers game. And during the win streak, he was flawless as far as turnovers. And he was showing this progression previous to the Ravens game. Or prior to the Ravens game. And then he got hurt and came back hobbled against the Cardinals, and it seemed to put like a speed bump in the growth. And I've said all year, it's not about the wins and losses, it's about improvement and evaluating the team as a whole. But of course, most specifically the quarterback you took in, with a top 10 pick. And it was really good to see him look healthy and confident against the Ravens, and kind of seemed to be picking up where he left off before the injury. And he looks way more healthy, despite what he says in the in the press conference. He looks a lot more healthy than he did against the Cardinals, and in practices, the practice clips you could find on Twitter and stuff. And that's good news as we enter the final week of the season, a rivalry game for the playoffs, all of that. Playoffs, whatever, of course, be excited about that. But, the best we are is a 6-10 football team. And the reality is, whether we win the division or not, we're still at best going to be a 6-10 football team, which is pretty much where we expected to be at the beginning of the year. And there's undoubtedly a lot to discuss, which we won't all get into in this video. But what you can walk away from with this is Joe Judge says the word absolutely, Daniel Jones is our quarterback going forward. Take that with a grain of salt. He's a new head coach. He didn't have any ties to Daniel Jones. I don't think that he's just saying that because he's supposed to say that. What else is he going to say? But I really do think that he loves Daniel Jones and that he's earned his respect, as he said. I believe those things, but there is no guarantee that we don't take a quarterback and move on from Daniel Jones. You see it all the time in the NFL with the way the rookie contracts are structured, and you see coaches want their guy when they come in. And Dave Gettleman might not even be around. And he's the guy with the ties to Daniel Jones. We'll get into all of that in other videos. But I do believe, Judge, that he wants to move forward with Daniel Jones. But undoubtedly, no matter if it's Daniel Jones or another quarterback, whether it's Jason Garrett's offense coming back, we need better weapons. And that's obvious. And that is no real surprise. We didn't invest anything into the weapons. We came back with all the same weapons last year as we had last year, and then we lost our most dynamic player in Saquon Barkley. But even if Saquon Barkley's out there on the field, in the modern NFL, you need some playmakers that can go consistently play above the X's and O's and make plays for your offense and help your quarterback out. I don't mind, because we're in a rebuild. We took a quarterback a year ago to usher in a new era after, 17 seasons of one quarterback. You're not going to rebuild all of that in one offseason. And we drafted heavily on the offensive line, which is the most important thing for a young quarterback. And we're playing all three of our rookies up front, significant amounts of snaps as we rotate them in and out and get them experience. And I like where we're at contract-wise with those three rookies, along with some of the other rookie contracts we have up there. We can supplement with some more mid-round picks and some free agents. And I think that that is a good contract situation. And I think that those guys have a chance to grow and grow together. And that is a very good situation to put around your young quarterback. You get Saquon Barkley back. That is what it is. It's a dynamic guy with the ball in his hands. But regardless of all that, we need to go get some playmakers for this quarterback, for this offense, or another quarterback and another offense. We just need some playmakers. But it was really good to see some development from Daniel Jones. Want to beat the Cowboys. We want the playoffs. We want the division title. All of those things. But you only get 16 games in a season to evaluate, to go have fun with your teammates. We have one more chance to put some good film out there and, let it all hang out. It's that last game of the season and you have something to play for. Regardless of why you have something to play for, you have something to play for. Go get it done. Have fun. Let it all hang out and ball out. You only get 16 of these. So let's go. Let's beat the Cowboys. Let's get in the playoffs. But more importantly, as I've said all year, it's about evaluating. It's about improvement. It's about culture. I feel like we've gotten a lot of that done this year. We've gotten a lot of answers. Offensively, we haven't got as many as I would like, and I blame most of that on Jason Garrett. You can check out those videos. I'll link them up at the end of this. But we'll get into some more Cowboy stuff throughout the weekend. Happy New Year's to you guys. Please like, subscribe, comment, all of that stuff. And go Giants. Let's win this division. Let's play another football game. We got meaningful December football. This is the last video. This is the last week of 2020. See you 2020. We start a new era. We start a new year in 2021 this Sunday against the Cowboys. Happy New Year's to everybody, and go Giants. Peace.